African Heritage Stories. Fatou'S surprising victory despite her well-kept secrets. A long time ago, in a prosperous land, nestled nicely between mountains and beautiful waterfalls, lived a handsome young king who had just ascended the throne of his fathers. His name was King Juramon. He was empathetic and wise. All the villagers were happy at his coronation. As custom demanded, he was to inherit the youngest virile wives of the late king, while the older ones were seen as queen mothers. Thus, he inherited the last three wives his father married to form alliances with other kingdoms just a few months before his death. Their names are Bake, Non, and Sika. They were all beautiful, but Sika, the youngest, was the most beautiful of all. Her problem was she was a very jealous woman who could go any length to be the center of attention. She also had a habit of gossiping and making people to be at loggerheads with each other. One day, King Dramon went on his monthly tour round his kingdom to check the state of things when he saw a beautiful and intriguing lady. She was wrapped from her neck downwards in a white blanket. He was captivated by her radiant beauty and smile, but was also very surprised at her choice of dressing. There and then, he made up his mind to make her his wife. He approached her and asked for her name, to which she replied, Fatou. Then he asked to see her parents. Terrified but curious, she took him to see her father, as her mother was already late. King Dramon explained the reason for his visit. To his greatest surprise, her father refused. Why? The king asked. Her father replied, Why do you think my daughter has always covered herself with a blanket all through her life? Shocked, the king asked, She has? Yes, she has. It is a secret known only to us and we wish to let it remain that way. But the king was so consumed by her love that he swore by his crown to marry her and never ever reveal her secret. He also promised to ensure she was protected at all times. After much persuasion, her father told her to open the blanket and reveal the secret. The king was very shocked to see what lay beneath. Her father reminded him of his wives, especially Queen Sika, whose penchant for jealousy, envy, and gossip was renowned. The king swore again to protect her at all costs. Finally, Fatou'S father gave his consent and Fatou agreed to marry him. The news of the marriage ceremony traveled far and wide. Dignitaries attended and gave the new couple many expensive gifts. Fatou looked so beautiful, so much that the young men wondered how they hadn't noticed her all this time. But while the festivities were going on, Sika sat by herself angry, her jealousy welling up within her. She asked herself, why is she getting so much attention? What is so special about her? After all, I am more beautiful than she is, and I was never showered with this much attention. She met with her co-wives, Bake and No. What do you think of the new bride? She asked. Bake responded, She's really beautiful and humble. If you see the way she greeted me, very respectful. Hey, why won't she fake humility when she's about to become queen? No asked. If I were the one, I would do the same. At this point, I don't even care about her. As long as the king still notices me, I'm fine. I only wonder at her choice of a bridal robe. Why did she cover herself from her neck downwards like that? Ah, you have just spoken my inner thoughts, replied Sika. I have tried to understand why, but I don't. Do you think she's hiding something? Personally, I don't know and I don't care, replied No. No and Bake expressed their thoughts on the matter but soon forgot about it. Sika couldn't stop pondering over it. According to custom, the new bride was not yet fully regarded as a queen unless the union was consummated, and the union could not be consummated until after 15 days, after which the bride would cook a specific local dish for the whole palace, including the king and chiefs. Once her prowess at cooking was confirmed, then the union could be consummated. Usually, the bride would stay in the queen's quarters in the palace, but the king ordered the construction of a separate quarters for her. Her quarters was to have a really high fence, which no one could look over. To add salt to injury, she was given personal servants to be at her every beck and call. Sika was furious. She went to the king to challenge why the new bride was bestowed that kind of favor. What secret was she and the king so desperate to hide from the world? But the king rebuffed her and ordered her out of his chambers. Sika's mind was set. She swore to find out what the secret was. One day, after so many unsuccessful attempts, Sika noticed a tall tree just outside the fence overlooking the compound. She climbed the tree and waited patiently for Fatou to come out to have a bath. After some time, Fatou came out with her personal maid to have a bath. Immediately she removed her robe, Sika screamed and almost fell. Alas, the new bride had only one arm. She quickly came down and ran as fast as her legs could carry her to the palace to tell the other queens. Soon, the news spread like wildfire that the king had married a disabled for a wife, which was considered a huge abomination. The whispers got to Fatou'S hearing and she cried bitterly. The king was distraught. Custom forbade him from seeing Fatou until the last day. He begged the gods to help vindicate him and Fatou. The chiefs called Sika to confirm if she was sure of this terrible allegation, to which she affirmed. She swore repeatedly and gave an oath that if on the final day it wasn't so, she should be beheaded immediately. She was that sure. Everyone decided to wait patiently and anxiously for the day to come. Fatou knew something had to be done. She had to run away soon before the public shame knocking on her door caught up with her. She snuck out of the palace grounds to see her father and tell him of her plans. Her father begged her not to run away and set up another appointment. He would definitely find a solution before then. 5 days to the D-Day, Fatou snuck out again and followed her father in the dead of night to see a powerful herbalist. On hearing her plight, the herbalist empathized with her, but made her realize that he had only one solution, and it was not guaranteed. She would go to the river bank in the night and circle a hen around her head 3 times, then throw it into the river. She would call on the river goddess and wait patiently for her to show up. If fate was on her side, the goddess would show up and possibly help her. But if she didn't, she was to run as fast as possible far from the river to avoid being forcefully dragged in. Fatou did as she was told the next night. Immediately, the goddess came out. Fatou dropped to her knees and begged with all her might that she should not be put to shame. The goddess had pity on her and gave her a soap to bathe with on the D-Day. No one was to see her until the unveiling. Fatou was immensely grateful and ran back home filled with joy. The final day arrived and Sika was overjoyed because she knew the bride would be put to shame. The bride was called upon and she came forth looking even more radiant and undisturbed. Then she was told to start cooking. After all, she would definitely need her hands to cook. The king, out of so much concern, ordered that her 2 personal slaves should do the cooking while she supervised them. Sika would have none of that and became absolutely hysterical. No servant was given to her or her seniors during their time, so Fatou would not be an exception. Fatou smiled and continued using her one hand. When it was time to pound, Sika giggled in glee, knowing that Fatou was definitely about to be utterly disgraced. To the surprise of everyone and in a burst of triumphant grace, Fatou removed the blanket and 2 perfectly structured arms were revealed. Sika fell to the ground looking extremely shocked and defeated. She knew the end had come for her. King Dramon was immensely pleased. He thanked the gods for this miracle. As Fatou pounded, Sika begged to be pounded as well, out of shame, but Fatou refused. The king ordered her arrest and declared that the sentence she called upon herself when she swore her oath be executed immediately. This would serve as a lesson to all women to control their jealousy and shun gossip. Sika was beheaded immediately at the shrine, and King Dramon and Fatou got married and lived happily and in peace till their dying days. Thanks, guys, for listening. I do hope you had a blast listening to the story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to family and friends. Also, don't forget to click on the notification bell as well so you get notified of upcoming stories when they are dropped exactly. Thank you so much, and until next time, bye.